I have a question to you. What is the principle on which quantum physics works? I repeat, what is the quantum physics principle? Anyone? Don't know? None? Okay. Okay. Our thoughts determines the reality. That is the quantum physics principle. Our thought determines the reality. The students of science know for certain that to explain and define the quantum world is too difficult. It's a Herculean task. There is an experiment in quantum physics. It is known as the double slit experiment. It is also known as Thomas Young's experiment. Thomas Young was an ophthalmologist and a physicist. In fact, Thomas Young's this double slit experiment contradicted Sir Isaac Newton's theory of light. As an ophthalmologist, Young used to be obsessed with light rays. So much so, he wanted to unravel the mystery of life. Now there is this one typical question about light, whether light is a wave or is it the sum of tiny particles. Newton defined light as corpuscular. That is, light is made up of tiny particles. But Thomas Young proved that light has too many characteristics of a classic wave form. This he proved with the help of his double slit experiment. Using a mirror, Young directed a beam of light from a narrow slit in a window pane of his lab onto a simple apparatus. I'm not going into details of this experiment, but the simple theory behind this experiment was it could only work if light existed as a wave. The experiment was a success. Young could prove that light is both wave and particle. He proved that particles travel through space as wave. From a common man's point of view, this perception of light largely depends on the person who looks at it. Now, what does this experiment have to do with quantum physics? It supported the principle of quantum physics, that at the quantum level, it is the observer's awareness that determines the behavior of energy. Why am I telling this to you? Because the modern science believes that our physical body is a holographic projection of our consciousness. Now, don't you see there is some kind of a connection between this holographic projection and the light? You would have learned something about electrons. Electrons mostly act like waves. They also work like formless energy, depending on what the observer expects to happen. But then, under a particular and same condition, the electrons would sometimes act like particles. In short, what science believes about quantum field is whatever the observer believes in would occur. Mr. Wilder Panfield, a Canadian neurosurgeon, observes that our mind cannot be confined to our brain. The mind is like a canvas on which our thoughts are projected, and it is a part of our consciousness. The yoga system says that if we intend to do anything with our consciousness, we ought to first try completely to establish a control over our body through our mind. Control the body in all its dimensions. Quantum physics again has given us another simple theory. It says, in the case of an atom, It has the blueprint of a molecule to rebuild it. That's a wonderful finding of the modern physics. Very similar to this, we believe that the human mind too has a blueprint of the human body. And when the body needs a kind of different rebuilding, the mind could do so. Each time when we oscillate between the formless energy and its particles, they can conjoin and rebuild our body. This can happen innumerable times. Only we should have absolute and total control over what we want. Therefore, we need to develop our one-pointed attention to manifest a renewed body system out of our energy field. It depends largely on our belief and feelings. Anyone could do this positively when he or she wants, especially when one is in trouble. Turn away from skepticism. You can be what you want. As Swami Vivekananda says, believe in yourself.